Well, hello. Well, what I'm seeing here.
I can see you. You're
Yep.
not moving, but I can see you.
I got you. I had a little audio problem here, but yeah, I'm not moving for some reason. I'm frozen in time. I don't know what's going on here, but we'll get it
Hey, as
going
long as we can hear you.
Yeah. here
Yeah,
on this
really.
Thursday here
Yes.
on the program. And we're glad you're with us. Longshore McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. And boy, do we have a lot going on today and a lot to get to early here on the program.
Yes, boy, there are a couple of items that likely could appear on the Quincy's 777 topic wheel, but we'll go ahead and address a couple of them. Number one, last night, Alabama basketball absolutely escapes from North Dakota. A 4-8 North Dakota squad playing at home scores 90 against the Crimson Tide, and they had an early lead. They had a guy named Trayson Eaglestaff for North
That's such
Dakota.
a North Dakota name. That's a North Dakota name. Eagle Staff.
Trayson Eaglestaff. And he had 40 against the Crimson Tide. They scored 52 in the second half. North Dakota did, but Alabama scored 62 in the second half, and they end up winning at 97-90. Trayson Eaglestaff led everybody with 40 points. He had 8 3-pointers. So the Crimson Tide escapes North Dakota with a victory.
I think escape's right, but lethargic, didn't care, half-assed. Those are the words that I used as I watched some of that game. And I don't know if that was Joe Tess's brother or son that was calling that game, but wow. Anyway, playing in a gym about the size of Jeff Davis's over there on Carter Hill Road, but this team didn't look like they were very excited to play. Grant Nelson told them, hey, these guys are ready to play. They're pretty excited about us coming into town. But I've seen it all year, Barry, just a team that just kind of goes through the motions. We've heard how great they are and how loaded they are and how many 5 stars they have. They just wait until March because I just don't see a team that at times really seems like they care. They got other things on their mind, and I'm basing that on other teams that I watch play. I mean, Barry, we don't like to compare here.
We hate it.
One program over another one, but I do see another program that doesn't look like the program that played last night in the state of Alabama, and I say that they look better. Auburn playing much better, much more as a team, as a unit. You can just – there again, they pass the eye test. Alabama does not.
Well, Alabama is off for a little while. You'll be able to see Auburn coming up on Saturday. It'll be ESPN when Auburn will play actually in Birmingham against the defending Final Four finalist.
Wait a minute.
Purdue.
Purdue.
They got Purdue 3:30 Saturday in Birmingham. So there is that. There's also, speaking of college athletics, there evidently is a precedent set legally now. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia won an injunction. He had a lawsuit against the NCAA or whomever that he wants an extra year of eligibility, and that really his years in junior college, and I think he was at New Mexico Military Institute, his years in junior college shouldn't count against his eligibility. And the judge agreed with him. So all you JUCO guys, come on back.
Let's face it. Is junior college really college? I mean, that's what I would tell the judge. Your Honor, really? I mean, is it really college? They call it junior for a reason.
I would have probably benefited from starting out at junior college.
Me too.
Probably would have. My son has his associate's degree from junior college before going on and getting his 4-year degree, and it worked out beautifully for him. But what a precedent that sets.
Oh, yeah.
You can go, and again, we live in a day and age where I think Oklahoma State quarterback Alan Bowman has just won an approval from the NCAA for his 8th year of eligibility.
Woo.
Reason they're calling it the Longshore rule,
No
but
kidding. I mean, he's beating my streak.
he can play for 8 years. We're living in that world right now.
Yeah.
And now junior college doesn't count. You can play junior college.
Love it.
Then you can go on to a 4-year college, and you can come in 2-year starter in JUCO, and you can be a freshman.
Hey,
in
and
college,
if my memory serves me correct, both Auburn and Alabama play Vandy this fall of 2025. Got to take on the Doors again, of course, who beat both those teams a couple of months ago. So they got to have a little bit more of Pava next year when the Doors get a hold of the Tide and the Tigers. So, yeah, that was interesting. I saw that, thought that was good for him. I'm happy for him. Guy's an exciting player. Made Vanderbilt football exciting. They'll get a lot of buzz in the offseason with him coming back. They'll probably still finish 6-6, maybe 7-5. I'd have to look at their schedule. I'm not sure who their non-con is. But, yeah, good for him. I'm glad to see it. There's so many different things going on in the world of college athletics. That one doesn't surprise me. And I tell you, Barry, what else doesn't surprise me is Greg Byrne basically sending out a panic email, text, Instagram, however he sent it to Tide Pride members and folks of Yay, Alabama, that you guys got to get off your wallet. Rumors floating around that schools within the SEC trying to poach Alabama's roster with very lucrative deals financially. There again, some of it could be hearsay, some of it could be fact, but I think we all know there are no rules. It's the Wild West, and getting in some of these players' ears and getting them to listen obviously is going on. Word was Ryan Williams got contacted by a school in this league for an enormous amount of money. Don't think anything's happening to this point, but obviously it sent shockwaves through the Alabama football complex. And Greg Byrne had to get on the computer and type out an email to tell the fans and the supporters, it's a new age, and if you don't get off your wallet, we are going to fall behind. I kind of got it that they already have. Bama fans like it their way, and it's a new way. And if they don't play the game the way it's being played, the success that they enjoyed over the last 17 years will not be there anymore. So you got to pay for it. It is expensive. They're asking you for a lot. And there are other schools around there that are willing to pay it. I don't know why Alabama seems to be so tight when it comes to spending money, as other schools seem to be having a free-for-all. But I thought it was interesting that Greg Byrne sent this notice out yesterday, and I don't think it's the last one you're going to see, because obviously they are not getting the money that they need or they thought they were going to need. And I just thought it was interesting, the timing of it. I know John Cohen at Auburn also sent out some correspondence yesterday. I kind of like the way he addressed it. It didn't seem to be kind of in a panic mode, if you will. Like, hey, we got to raise ticket prices for premium seat areas of Jordan-Hare Stadium. Hell, John, if I'm you, I'd raise them everywhere. Not just the fat cats. I'd raise them everywhere. But my point being, folks, it's a spending free-for-all out there, and if you don't have the money, you are falling. You are not going to be where you are accustomed to being.
Well, hopefully he didn't send that email just to Tide Pride members and season ticket holders. Hopefully everybody who holds an Alabama degree got one of those. All, however many hundreds of thousands of them, because the wording is this: although we have been, and I'm quoting now, although we have been competitive from an NIL standpoint, our competition has us in their sights and are actively trying to surge ahead with NIL. Makes it sound like it's a bad thing. Like you're Colin Farrell in whatever that movie was, Phone Booth or something like that. Oh my gosh, you're fired. That did sound a little bit panicky to me. They have us in their sights. You don't have other schools in your sights, Greg? You have heard examples.
I wonder that, Barry. Are they playing Mr. Nice Guy? I go, well, we're not going to interfere with your players. I mean, I can't imagine that's going on.
No.
But it kind of came across like, no, we don't do that. But
You
these
have
people are
heard
coming after us.
You have heard examples of other teams using promises of $1 million paydays to lure away our players or convince them not to come to Alabama. Is Alabama lily white in that regard?
I wonder.
There was a blatant accusation during last offseason from Miami of Ohio saying Alabama lured their place kicker, for God's sakes. He says, this is what I love. He says, it's time for the Bama Nation to fight back.
Yeah.
It makes it
Sounds
sound like
they've
he's,
been
like he's
sitting
Mel
around.
Gibson in Braveheart or something like that. Who's with me?
It sounds like they have not been fighting
did we
hard
quit when the
enough.
Germans bomb Pearl Harbor?
And I guess, is fighting having the most money to spend? I guess it is in this day and age. To answer your question, Barry, as a graduate of the University of Alabama, I did not receive any correspondence that way, but it was all over, the media, social media. It was sent. I did get an email, but I don't really know what channel it came through. But maybe Greg knew the minute he hit the send button, it was going to be all over social media anyway. Because certainly, sports writers have written columns about it, what's going on, the shots that Burns going to take for sending a letter like this out. I guess you got to communicate. Maybe you do have to strike fear in your fan base from time to time to get them off their wallets. I did see that, X amount of people did donate yesterday and responded to it, this, that, and the other. But it's, how many times can you go to the well? And I think there's going to come a point where people are going to go, so what? I've had it. And we talked about it last spring. John Cohen, Greg Byrne, going to their constituents, their fan base, give us 18 months. Hold on. I know you're getting fatigued. I know you're getting tired of doing this, but you got to hold on. Well, that clock is still ticking. So when we get to that 18-month period, which is going to be about the middle of this summer, then what's going to happen? Is something going to be in place? Are we going to have that roadmap and that rule book? It certainly doesn't look to me like they're moving toward that in any manner of speed. They're dragging their feet, and other programs are getting money into their NIL.
Greg, he closes with this. I love this. Bama Nation, if you're listening, and of course you are out there right now, the name of Alabama's collective that he is pleading with you to donate to is called Yay Alabama. He says, a subscription to Yay Alabama isn't about the now, it's about the future. It's about attracting and developing the best recruits in the country to represent the Script A. Yeah, that's an inducement. You being a part of the team has never been more important. Hang on, let me take a deep breath. At Alabama, we've not measured ourselves against our competition. We are the standard. And that measurement is against the mirror and against a rich and proud history, but it's impossible to ignore what is taking place in college athletics. Hungry fan bases are acting decisively to give their respective programs competitive advantages. We must respond. We are Alabama.
And that's great, Barry. That's all fine and dandy. We are the standard. We are we're the top of the mountain. That's great. But this is a different age, different era, and money gets you to the top of the mountain. Not SEC championships, national championships, Heisman Trophy winners.
Johnny
all
Musso
that
played
stuff.
here.
Doesn't matter. So what? Big deal. It looks great going down the hallways in the Malmore building. But if you want to succeed from this point on, you got to get off your wallet. And yeah, maybe they're not a handful of really big fat cat donors that some other schools may have. You got a collection of really wealthy people, but maybe you don't have mega wealthy people. But you got to find a way to get it done. And, so what that, everybody measures themselves by the Crimson Tide. Not anymore. And I don't know why people are shocked by this. Did they not see this coming? When Nick Saban stepped away, that was the telltale sign. I can't stack a roster. I can't have 4 or 5 stars on my depth chart in the defensive backfield. It's over. and you've got to pay these people. And I think there's, Bama fans been spoiled, getting it for free basically by great recruiting from Nick Saban and that staff. That doesn't play anymore.
John Dent checks in on our chat line. He says, does Bama need to have a bake sale? That's the thing, really, is we're not talking about Middle Tennessee State saying, come on, everybody, time for us to come together as one. We are Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah.
This is Alabama we're talking about. I'm not sure that there's at least an indirect reference to Jaden Mbakwe, who reportedly got dangled in front of a large NIL number, which you can't do if he's not in the transfer portal.
No.
But when he saw it, he got in the transfer portal, and evidently either that dried up or Alabama offered him back. What Greg Byrne is saying is we need your money in case we need to get in bidding wars.
Yep.
With some of these people
well,
to represent
Barry,
the script A.
Is John Cohen sent a letter out to Auburn fans about raising premium seat ticket prices, which, you got to, every little bit helps. I think you better raise them across the board. Those, it's going to keep coming. I mean, those things are going to keep coming. You're going to keep hearing about it. We got to have your help. And there again, facilities, don't worry about it. Putting up a new coat of paint, nope, don't need it. Getting a new new press box at the soccer field, forget it. Not going to happen. It's all about NIL. Well, what do you think about it? We got a lot going on today. Senator Tommy Tuberville scheduled to join us at the bottom of this hour from the nation's capital. Always enjoy talking to Coach Tuberville. Also, Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, brought to you exclusively by the Destin Connection Seafood Market. David sent me some info this morning, man. I can't wait to pass along all the great stuff that's going on out at Destin Connection. Jason Caldwell, nice enough to move his schedule. He'll join us at the bottom of hour number 2.
Yep, we got a lot to do today, and we're glad you're along for the ride. Plenty of things to talk about. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, underway and presented by Bud Light.
Hey, folks, you got to take advantage of the incredible holiday savings at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where they sell America's best-selling truck for 50 years in a row, the F-150. And you can get an F-150 at 1.9% APR for 60 months or up to $15,000 off MSRP and no payments for 90 days. Hundreds to choose from. Your F-150 is on the lot right now. Also, F-150 Lightnings, $15,000 off MSRP and 0% APR for 72 months. What about the stylish Ford Bronco? Up to $10,000 off MSRP, starting as low as $34,990. And it started it all with the Ford Explorer. You can get one for up to $8,000 off MSRP, as low as $33,900 and 1.9% APR for 66 months. Folks, Stivers Ford is loaded with cars, trucks, and SUVs priced to sell. Stivers Ford, 4000 Eastern Boulevard in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders. Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry is an Alabama-based, family-owned and operated business that specializes in dry cleaning and laundry serving the river region since 1941. There are 12 convenient locations across the river region. Find one close to you or call 481-1911 for free pickup and delivery. For 83 years, Central Alabama has trusted Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry. You should too.
Okay, welcome back in, everybody. Glad you are with us here today. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. A lot going on in the first segment today, talking about the Tide and their trip to North Dakota last night, getting out of there, escaping. I mean, how do you
North Dakota.
Here's some. I mean, nothing against our friends at AUM, but I get a lot of text when sporting events are going on. Sometimes I hit the silence button because if things aren't going the right way, I get a lot of text. And last night it's dinging all over the place. And some guy goes, "Hey man, this is like AUM who they're playing. I mean, they're letting this team score 90 points. I mean, you kidding me?" There were not a lot of happy Bama basketball fans
Just
last night.
To give you some perspective, I've never been to North Dakota, and I couldn't tell you anything about the fine educational institutions there. I've heard of North Dakota State, because that's where Carson Wentz went to school, but I can't tell you anybody else that went to school in North Dakota. That John can't tell you. Can you name anybody ever who is from North Dakota, or who has ever lived in North Dakota, or who has ever passed through North Dakota? Anybody out there in the chat line? Has anybody ever been to North Dakota? How is a team that they attract student athletes to without much NIL hanging 90 on Alabama?
It's ridiculous. I mean, 90 points. I don't know what the point spread in that game was last
24
night.
and a half.
Yeah. I mean, that's like going to Norman being a 19-point favorite and losing by 21. Of course, Alabama didn't lose last night. It felt like they did. I mean, they never got to a point where you're going, okay, here we go, blowout city, here it comes. They finally woken up. I don't know. Like I said earlier, I don't want to get into all the X's and O's and minutes played. I'm going to tell you what my eyes are telling me. This team's overhyped. This team's not as good at this point as we were led to believe they were back in the summer. Kind of like Alabama's running back room. I'm not seeing it. And I am seeing it somewhere else. And there again, we don't like to compare, but
no.
I'll just say this, without comparing, I've seen another team in this state that looks damn good. And they're about 40 miles up the road.
Back to the email. If you got that email from Greg Byrne, don't act like it's that renewal notice for your car insurance. Or, hey, this is how your property tax is valuated from the county clerk. Don't crumple it up and throw it away. Don't immediately just send it to your email trash or your junk mail in your email or something, because he's talking to you. There's a guy that I interviewed this summer. I've worked with him a little bit. He's the head coach at Texas State University.
Okay.
It's in the Sun Belt Conference. His name is G.J. Kinney, and he has him in a bowl game. They've never been to a bowl game before until he was there, even when Franchione was the coach. G.J. Kinney is his name, and he's a pretty good coach. He ain't but about 33 years old or so, and he's talking about it. He says the price, this is Texas State now. G.J. Kinney says the price of winning is going up, and if we want to continue to win, if we want to sniff a conference championship, we need a lot more support than we're getting right now. He said, look, if we want to get anybody good in the portal, we're going to need a lot more money, and that's just plain and simple. Now, we can go out there and we'll evaluate with the best of them, and we'll get some hidden gems like we always have, but that's the name of the game right now. He says people don't care about scheme. They don't care about the university. They don't care about relationships. It's all about the money right now. And that's the guy at Texas State. And he's telling it like it is. Somebody, if you go recruit somebody or contact somebody in the portal and say, hey, look, we run a multiple offensive set with an accent on the tight end. You're a tight end. He's like, yeah, he's like Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah. How much money? Man, I could be a wide receiver and you can run the wishbone. I'm coming if you give me enough money, that's what Greg Byrne's talking about. All this stuff about attracting them with the script A. I'll put Keelan Russell in there, the 5-star National Player of the Year quarterback. He's from Texas. What do you think was a deciding factor in him coming to Alabama?
Yeah.
Was it because he developed Michael Penix, who was actually somewhere else for 2 years?
Barry, I believe I heard is starting for the Falcons this Sunday.
Is it because Nick Sheridan is really kind of the cut of his jib? I mean, they kind of vibe. He's the offensive coordinator.
Is he still the offensive coordinator? Oh, okay. I know where I hear where you're going.
The money, right? The money.
And I just think back to many, many years ago when we pretty much talked about this same subject, and this old grouchy man called up and says, they want to wear the crimson jersey and they want to play where Bear coached. No, they don't. Said it 25 years ago. And it obviously, today, it's obvious. No, it's all about money. That's what they want. Playing time and money.
Jalen Mbakwe is a 5-star. One of the great two-way players in the state of Alabama year before last, maybe in history. They dangled some money out on him.
Sure.
I mean, he's ready to go. He's packing up, he's getting his clothes together, throwing them in a duffel bag, headed out the door. And he's a good kid. And nothing wrong with him. It's not kids these days. Boys, some of you 60 and 65-year-olds out there who are sitting there and saying what John's talking about, well, I would just deem it an honor to play for the Crimson Tide or for Auburn or whoever. Man, when you were 18 years old and coming in and you were scraping money together and eating ramen noodles and working at Pagliai's Pizza just trying to get enough money to go to school, and somebody dangles $1 million in front of you, yeah. That's,
Barry,
I grew up in a Florida family, Gator family went there, grandparents went there, brother, sister, whole deal.
Yeah.
And I went to school at Florida. That's why I went to all the games when I was a kid. Somebody gave me $1 million, I'd be,
I've said it. Yeah.
Fight for FSU.
And I've equated it, Barry, to Albie. If they wanted me to be Albie for a dollar amount, I'm in. I'll swing my tail and I'll go up in the stands. You better believe it.
Now, Kevin Sumrall, no relation to John. Yep. Kevin Sumrall, big listener of ours. He checks in on the chat line and he gives you some props. He says, good. John, you've been saying this since I've been listening. And that's been many, many years now.
Well, Kevin, thank you for being such a loyal follower of the program. We really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, Barry, joining us now from the nation's capital is Senator Tommy Tuberville. Coach, always nice enough to join us from time to time. I know he's very busy. Hey, Coach, you're on with John and Barry. How you doing today?
Good morning, John. That's a dang lie. You'd never put an Auburn uniform on. Don't tell that lie.
I wondered about that, Coach. Coach, we needed somebody with a litmus test to kind of sift through that.
I've still got that picture proudly displayed of the two of us in your office with that big Auburn picture behind us. So, I've been known to do stuff like that.
John, 25 years I've known you, and that ain't the first lie you've told, okay?
Won't be the last either.
Coach, no. Coach, let me ask you this. My oldest daughter lives in D.C., and she tells me since the election back in November that the levels of that swamp seem to be getting lower and lower every day. Is that swamp draining?
Oh, my God. I tell you what, it's draining because they're running for cover. We got a couple of guys named Elon and Vivek are after these swamp monsters, and we got them now. Now they're just going to crawl underneath a limb or something. They're not going anywhere, but hopefully we can keep them underwater long enough where they can't survive. But I tell you, it is a complete circus up here right now. But we knew that was going to happen when all this nonsense would start coming out, and you've got rhinos running the House and rhinos running the Senate, and they're going to try to do the things they've normally done. But these folks ain't going to put up with it, and it's great for the American people.
Well, it means a lot of work for you, but you have never shied away from work. I know last week you met with Kash Patel and Dr. Weldon, from the FBI, from the CDC. What's the purpose of all that? How are you helping in this all this transition and all this change that's about to happen?
Well, first of all, they got to get my vote to get confirmed. They're going to have 51 votes, and they they go through hearings. Now, Dr. Weldon is Robert Kennedy's pick to be the CDC director. Now, that's what Fauci did. He was a CDC director, and so he has to come in. But I met with RFK Jr. a couple of days ago, and what a guy! Let me tell you something. He's same age as us, and he's just a guy that just believes in the country. And, he's not a scientist, he's not a doctor, but he's written 4 or 5 books on vaccines, about food health, about exercise, about Medicare, Medicaid. I mean, he's brilliant, and he's putting a team around him that's really going to help Dr. Weldon running the CDC. Now, the CDC is in Atlanta, so it's a place where I've been over several times, but it's a breath of fresh air to see people that's going to stand up to the food companies, to the drug companies. And again, they're just going to go by the science. Everybody said, well, he's going to do away with vaccines. He's not going to do away with vaccines. He just does not want the drug companies to use these vaccines on humans like us and the newborns like they do, and use them as guinea pigs. Let's do the science first and make sure that they are not harmful and they help before we start sticking needles in people's arms.
Yeah, you're right. I've been very impressed with Mr. Kennedy as well, and I think he's going to be fantastic. Coach, also, I know you've been very supportive and very vocal about bringing things back to the state, whether it's, the Space Force up in Huntsville, the FBI headquarters. I thought that was very interesting as well. You're always, looking out for Maxwell Air Force Base here in central Alabama, the Alabama ship manufacturing as well. There is so much going on that you're a part of to help our state grow and become better.
Well, I'm on the Armed Services Committee. I basically represent the state, and I put in all the pluses and minuses for what we need and don't need. And we were fortunate this year budget we just signed for the military that we got improvements for every base. We got a 14% increase for all the non-coms, the people that actually do the war fighting or training, not the generals and admirals. We got 14% because they were living off welfare wages, and we had to get those up. So that was a big plus. Right after the inauguration, President Trump and his wife will have lunch in the Capitol with him, the senators, and then he'll walk down Pennsylvania Avenue, give him time to get all of his furniture moved in, go to the White House, and he'll go sit down in the Oval Office and start signing executive orders. That's how it works. And he's got about probably 50 or 60. He's going to maybe do the first day. And I might be overstating that, but, I'm hopefully, and I'll be there. I'll be in the Oval Office, and I'm hoping pretty early in that signing process that he will pull one up that says Space Command. And, he's very adamant that it should have been in Huntsville. Even the Secretary of the Air Force for Joe Biden said it should go to Huntsville. It's the best place, but he played politics or somebody did. I don't know. I don't know if he knew what Space Command was, but they have not done anything out there other than just keep it going because we blocked any kind of buildings and anything. So hopefully he'll sign that in the first day of his second term, and we can start the process of getting Space Command and where it actually should be and was voted on should be back to Huntsville.
Senator, I've got to ask you this because a lot of our viewers and listeners back here in Alabama kind of want to live vicariously through your reaction, through your emotions. Election night in November, when not only became clear that President Trump was going to win, but that he was going to win big. Everybody wants to know, how'd that feel to you? Was there vindication, Coach? Did you what were the emotions that night as it became clear that it was going to be a virtual landslide?
Well, for me and my wife, Suzanne, we went down to Mar-a-Lago. President Trump invited us to come down there and be with him on election night because we'd worked awful hard for 2 years. I was the first senator that came out for him. Rest of them didn't jump on board to 4 or 5 months ago because most of them are rhinos. But at the end of the day, you know, all of his buddies are Elon Musk, Ramaswamy, Tucker Carlson, all the characters were there, and it was just a fun time. It was nervous time for me because, fortunately, I'm here and I've seen everything for 4 years, and I knew how important it was that we had to win, and we had no choice. We could not deal with another 4 years, the border, the crime, the inflation, the wars, and it's out of control. And this gives us a chance. And I still don't know whether we can get out of a hole, even with President Trump and everybody pulling in the right direction. It is going to be awfully hard because they have dug us a hole that's very deep. But it was great to be there. I was there when they come in and told President Trump, along with a bunch of, they came in with about 3 or 4 buses more of Secret Service people, and basically come in and said, "Mr. President, you've won the election." Now, this was even before midnight. Now, of course, the TV pushes it a couple hours. Because they got to sell programming, right? They're
Yeah.
trying to make money, and so it was a great time. It was a good, and of course, I can't imagine being President Trump and my friend JD Vance uh, uh, being nowhere a couple of years ago, and then a freshman senator, now being vice president of the United States. It was fun to watch, but it was more fun to know that we got a chance. We got a chance to win this big game that we're going to play in the next 4 years, and we got the right players in place. We just got to get Congress, and Congress is the one right now I'm really worried about. I see all these Republicans that say they're Republicans that say I'm not voting for Pete Hegseth, and he wasn't a general. Yeah, yeah, right. I think we're going to win all this, but we've got to win over a lot of rhinos.
Well,
Coach, you said earlier this week or late last week that the best path forward for college football is with no NCAA. Do you ever think that'll happen?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. You saw Charlie Baker this week. He took a
Ooh.
lashing up there over women's sports and had no answers. Come on,
Mm-mm.
NCAA. Y'all know this. We fought them for years on football because they never make any decisions because they don't make money off football. Their money comes from basketball. All the tournament, and so it's in a turmoil right now. You see everything going on, and it's I'm for players making money, but there's got to be some parameters, and I hope you saw the ruling yesterday. That's really going to be one of the biggest things that's happened in NIL. This judge basically says there's no eligibility requirements. And I've been telling people this. The next thing coming is you can forget about the 4 year eligibility. It's going to be nonstop as long as you want to play. So next year, Auburn's going to have to go play the Vanderbilt quarterback who started this lawsuit, said, "Hey, why should my junior college count? I should get 2 more years." And the judge says exactly right. So he's going to be back at Vanderbilt. That Pablo, whatever his name is, but uh, there's going to be probably a ruling down the way from either the Supreme Court or federal judge said there's no length of eligibility you can play to
Mm.
nobody else wants you, and that's that again. Are we ever going to put education back in the bottle here and say you're supposed to go to class and do things like that? Of course, you can get a doctorate degree now if you want to stay in and play as long as you want.
Coach, my final question, and it's a personal question. The Auburn fans were in shock earlier this week when they learned of the passing of Chet Williams. Can you give us a perspective in your experience how Reverend Chet Williams impacted what you're talking about, young people's lives, keeping them on the path to the important things in college, getting their degrees and doing the right thing? Can you give any anecdotal evidence as to just how impactful his life was?
Yeah, 35 years of coaching, really being somewhere around 25 years of being a head coach. That was the best hire I ever made. He changed the lives of not just players, but other players in other sports, coaches, families, administrators. And I just fell into this. He was a full-time team chaplain. I hired him when I first got. He was really one of my first hires, and he's been there now for 25 years. And it was shocked all of us of what happened. Life is so precious and it can end so quickly, as we all see. But the people that Chet touched and changed their lives over the years is just absolutely amazing. I mean, you can take all us coaches and put us together, and we wouldn't touch that many. And one thing people don't realize, he started a training program back in 2002 and three that he started training uh, interns. They came and spent a year with us. They wanted to be full-time team chaplains, and because of that, today there's one at almost every uh, uh, Red State, I would say Red State University full-time team chaplain because of Chet Williams. And
Did not
so,
know that.
it's a sad deal. And this, I don't know whether I can make his funeral. I'm going to try to make either the funeral or the celebration because, we've got a mess up here too. But it's just a sad state of affairs. And again, God bless Chet Williams and the people's lives that he saved over the years.
Yeah. Wow, very well said, Coach. Just a difficult loss. Well, Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. We know you're extremely busy, but we always appreciate you carving out a little bit for us here. And have a very, very Merry Christmas to you and your family. Happy New Year. And we're behind you. So if you need us to come help you drain that swamp a little bit, just give us a call.
Well, grab a hold and hold on. It's getting ready to get really bumpy. But hey, I love a fight. So I'm getting ready to have a good Christmas and New Year's. And hey, we're going to come back over and get this country straight. It will be our last chance. So let's get it done.
Thank you very much, Senator Tommy Tuberville. Appreciate the time.
Great stuff. A great interview from the coach, Tommy Tuberville. And boy, wow. His sentiments for Chet Williams, that really strong. And I was reading about that, Bear. I didn't realize that Coach Tuberville actually hired Chet Williams. So that relationship was incredibly strong. And I know it had to be very, very sad news, not only him, but the entire Auburn family.
Well, let's take a break right here. When we come back, again, for those of you who are waiting, we've got Rodney Orr coming up in about 20 minutes from Tiger Insider, Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover. They'll join us in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.
Welcome to the holidays. They're officially here. Time for tradition, family gatherings, meals, and the annual scramble of searching for those last-minute gifts. Speaking of gifts, this season Budweiser's got your back. Head to the store right now and look for our specials. Why go all over town looking for that perfect gift when Budweiser takes care of everyone in one convenient ice-cold package? When you stock up on Budweiser with our specials, you'll have plenty to share with your friends and family. They'll all appreciate that Budweiser's brewed the hard way and has been for 140 years. We use the finest barley, malt, and hops grown in Idaho and Germany. We don't take any shortcuts when we're brewing. That's our tradition. So make the most of your holidays. Stop by your local store now for our specials. Grab enough Budweiser for yourself, your friends, and your family. It's a new holiday tradition everyone can enjoy together. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Budweiser.
The Victoryland Casino 8 Days of Giveaways is going on now. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. We're giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. That's right. Victoryland Casino is giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. Come play the latest and greatest games featuring exciting bonuses and huge jackpots. There's always more ways to win at Victoryland Casino off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older. Must be present to win.
Got to hit the mute. We are live here, Longshore and McKnight. It is our Thursday show.
Yep.
Glad you're along with us here as we get some good feedback from our interview with Tommy Tuberville.
Yes. Always appreciate that on our River Region Straw chat line. I was just thinking during the break, Barry, I mean, we could go on all day with Coach Tuberville. I mean, I know he's extremely busy. We appreciate the 12 or 13 minutes or so we can get with him. And I was just thinking, and I mentioned it, and I've told this before. I don't know how maybe had been in office 2 years, maybe. And I just mentioned to one of his assistants, I said, "Hey, listen, I'm in DC pretty often, and I'd love to just drop by and say hello." And she said, "Oh, certainly. Just let us know when you're coming next." And I did, and and told her when I was arriving, and texted her, and she said, "Oh yeah, sure. Can you be here at 1:30?" I said, "Definitely." Went to where she told me to go. She came and met me. Walked into Coach's office, and I'm thinking this will be about 3 minutes. We'll get a picture, and we'll move on. I was literally in his office almost an hour, and it was just I can remember the conversation. My wife and my son were with me, and I just thought, man, for him to take that much time, and we talked about politics, and we talked about sports, and talked about business in this part of the state. My wife was in that bit in business, and he wanted to know, pick her brain about what's going on with within the business world, particularly post COVID, and it was great, and we did get a picture when we left, and it was a big montage of Auburn great moments in Auburn football history.
I am looking right now at tuberville.senate.gov, and he's got pictures with Cash Patel and pictures with Dave Weldon in front of that painting you're talking about. If I get Gurn Jr., that picture of you and Junior in front of there, John,
I'm trying to find it.
And the youngster,
I am trying to find it right now, as a matter
painting.
of fact. Yeah.
People don't. Now, I do think, you've known Tubbs for a long time. I've worked with him for a good amount of time as well when he was the coach. You've known him for a long time. Listeners, viewers, did you pick up? He was not buying this John would be Aubie for a certain amount of money and he'd swing the tail around. Tuberville, as soon as he got on the air, he said, "John, there ain't no way that you are ever going to be the Mike man at Auburn or that was never going to happen."
Well,
he wasn't buying that for a millisecond.
The price is right. I've said it about my children. They get a full Scully at Auburn, War Eagle. Kick him in the butt, Big Blue.
Ought to get him.
I'm all over that. So, it's funny, Barry. Obviously, you know me. I'm not very inclined
having it.
Electronically, technically. You would think I could find this picture pretty quickly, but of course, it's always that picture you're looking for. You can never find it.
Yeah, I know. Of course,
I'll dig it up somewhere.
Now that I'm a grandfather, I got 90% of my pictures now are grandkids. So yeah, I've got it somewhere too. I use it kind of like I use that picture of me with Alex Trebek to settle bets. Yeah, I was on Jeopardy. Look right here, same thing.
That is true.
I got a picture of John with in front of a big Auburn oil painting with a big smile on his face with his son. Everybody's like, there ain't no way. Yeah,
and it's interesting when we walked into his office, if you notice that the walls are painted blue.
Yes.
In his office. And he told us the story because Senator Shelby was still, so this was early in Tuberville's first term, well, actually still his first term. And he said, yes, Senator Shelby's office, his walls are red. I wanted mine to be blue.
There you go.
Yeah.
I've got on my phone, I'm thinking about this now. I've got on my pictures app, I've got them separated, favorites, family, grandkids into different albums. I need to have one called Bet Settlers. That needs to be one of them. Oh yeah? Well, here's a picture of John in front of the big arm. He and a smile on his face. Anyway, that's good stuff. I did have to ask that about, what it was like that night, because I knew he had been at Mar-a-Lago on election night. And that was
had to be special.
That's a moment in history, John.
Had to be special.
That's a moment in history where I know where I'll be, and I'm just an observer as much as anything else. I was interested to know what it was like for Tuberville.
I got to think, they had a kind of by their polling, probably a pretty good feeling.
Yeah.
No.
Bill from Baltimore checks in with this. Are you guys doing a Longshore birthday?
Well, my birthday, is it coming up? Well, look at the calendar. Look
4
at that.
days. On December 23rd, it will be number 51. I'm sorry, 61.
Well, 61. Yes, it will.
Yeah,
I will be the same age as Barry on December the 23rd. So yeah. We're getting on up there. But yeah, Monday's
Oh, we're
the day.
planning on it, yeah.
We're planning on having a show on Monday. We are
Yes.
not going to have a show on Tuesday or Wednesday, Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, but we'll have a special edition of Longshore McKnight on Monday.
Yeah.
So just stay tuned. We're going to leave it at that. Not tell you anymore, but we will have something for you on Monday.
I've gotten a promise from him that it will not include Miss Auburn from Girls of the SEC from Playboy magazine, like he sprung on me that one time years ago.
Wonder, do we still have that footage? I wonder. Do we still have that?
Not.
Yeah, that was a classic in the Longshore McKnight history.
Well,
I saw Tobias on our chat line earlier today. I thought he had a good one. He says Alabama basketball's like Jameis Winston. They like to give it to the other team.
Yeah.
You're right. They
do
can turn
play
the
a
ball
little
over,
loose.
Tobias. You're right. And there again, there was another chat here. I think it was right after I made the statement, Bama doesn't pass the eye test to me. And someone said, obviously, Longshore's not watching a lot of Alabama basketball. I guess he's insinuating that my feelings about Alabama basketball are not valid. Yeah, here it is. Phil says John clearly does not watch Alabama basketball games. I watch them. Yeah, I watch them.
Did the number 7 team in the country, very talented. I mean, I do believe that they'll be Sweet 16 at least this coming year, but you never know. I mean, the SEC is tough. They'll be battle tested when they get into postseason. They certainly have the talent to do it. It's, a lot of it's the bounce of the basketball and everything. But they'll come back to this game. And Alabama shot 30 free throws against North Dakota. North Dakota shot 8.
Whoa.
And that was a big factor.
So wait a minute.
Free throws. Alabama got to the line 30 times, and North
only
Dakota
won
got
by
there
7
8,
points.
and they only win by 7. This Alabama team and the turnovers, they turned it over 14 times, which is quite frankly right about their average. So yeah, it was a spotty performance. I will say that. Grant Nelson playing back at home had double-double, 23 and 10, but it was 97-90. If their defense does not get better, that's going to be their downfall. Giving up 90 points to a 4-8 North Dakota team, they've got to do better. They got to do better.
And there again, Barry, I'm just telling you how it was presented to me. This isn't me. This is just somebody in the text chain that I'm on. This team's like AUM. Look, nothing against the Senator. Are they still the Senators? Well, what is AUM? What are they?
No. Really?
Really?
They're the Warhawks.
Oh, the Warhawks, yeah. But I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, you're kind of having this little show of good faith game and going to North Dakota. I don't think Alabama's ever played any team from North Dakota in any sport. I have to look that up, but I don't think they have. And they go up there and they fiddle fart around. I mean, you go up there, look, you're not trying to be Mr. Nice Guy. Go up there and blow them out. I mean, I don't know. I just – something's got to change. Something ain't right. Something's not clicking. And
promise we'll talk Auburn in just a little while as well. Greg Byrne was in North Dakota last night with the team. It's an interesting take.
Whoa. Wait a minute. He's going up to North Dakota when he needs to be out there soliciting cash for the NIL.
Knocking on doors,
Come on, Greg.
ringing a bell, something like that. Interesting take. And again, he had the email yesterday, and it was also on social media. I think his his social media address is at Greg_Byrne.
Yep.
And he got roasted pretty good about it,
He did.
too. That was an interesting take from Michael Casagrande at AL.com. Was Alabama's AD's plea for cash worth the roast? Because he got a lot of, fans. You know how fans are.
Yeah.
Greg, if you had $25 Yay Alabama fee to every home football, basketball, gymnastics, and softball tickets sold, and you would have more NIL money than any school in the country, Greg. Yeah.
I bear you.
Right now, you can't do it that way. The school cannot donate funds to the NIL. Soon you'll be able to do that. Say maybe July, but you can't do that. Anyway, he's getting roasted. Well, Alabama's crying poor with their $100 and something million budget and all that. Amongst the Alabama faithful, probably there weren't a whole lot of them that said, oh boy, wow, a chance for us to give more. Yes, this is great. Let me get my checkbook. There probably wasn't a lot of that, but nationally, it did not play well, John.
So here's here's why it doesn't play well, Barry. What's he going to do next time? He's already kind of had this panic letter sent. How can he send it? It's like, the story about the boy that cried wolf. You can only cry wolf so often. You can only send so many panic style emails out there. So what do? There again, ahead of my time, put a hotel tax on every one of those hotel rooms they built in Tuscaloosa, going to NIL, and do like Tennessee. Why are more schools not doing what Tennessee's doing? Hey, guess what? Your ticket price is $100, but we're adding a $25 NIL surcharge to it. You ever been to a hotel and you go to, and there's a county tax, a city tax, a state tax, a levy tax, an enhancement tax, parking fees? I mean, they slap so many taxes on you in hotel rooms. Why not put the NIL tax on it too? Greg, you can't write another letter like this because you've already gone to the well once too often.
And people are getting tired of it. Yeah, whatever. We're spending money to hotels have an enhancement tax.
Yeah.
Look, if you hadn't taken that pill before you checked into the hotel, why should you?
It's in New Orleans, they call it a levy tax. So the dam done burst again. Barry, before we go to a break, I do believe Gerd Jr. has frantically found some photos that we were asking about earlier in the program. I don't know what the year was here. I'm saying it's a couple of years ago. Yeah. But this was the family in Coach. There's the picture.
There is.
There's
all that Auburn stuff in the background.
Yeah.
Tuberville said, hey, you want to take a picture over my desk? John says, no. Hey, Coach, how about let's shimmy over here?
All right, Barry, I'm going to say this picture was 3.5, 4 years ago, maybe, because senators have 6-year terms. My son, who is standing, obviously, between me and Coach Tuberville. That's my beautiful wife on the other side of Coach Tubbs.
Yeah.
My son today.
Coverage, we get it. We hear that all the time, and everybody says it. So, yeah, right, true.
My son, Barry, is taller than I am.
Get out. I haven't seen him in a little while.
He is taller than I am. About to go take an exam this morning in biology. Hey, knock it out, son. But, yes, he is. So that was 3 years ago, maybe 3.5. Taller than I am today. Kid has grown like a weed.
How about this real quick from Scott on the chat line? He says, as an owner of a travel agency, many hotels in popular areas charge resort fees.
Oh, yeah.
Resort
yes, they
fees.
Do. Yeah.
That's just somebody trying to come up with a name or something. How can we blatantly cash grab? Let's call it a resort fee. I don't know, a lot of people would consider Tuscaloosa a resort, but hey, slap it on there. You know?
Aren't they building like the Sports Illustrated resort in Tuscaloosa? I heard. I think I did. Something, on the river. But Barry, hotels are notorious about taxes. They'll slap a tax on your resort fees. Yeah, you're right about that. And it ain't just in the U.S., it's big in the Caribbean as well. They really slap a fee on you there. All right, let's take a break. Got to take a break. Rodney Orr, the Tighter Insider, scheduled to join us. Brought to you exclusively by our friends at the Destin Connection Seafood Market.
It's coming up with Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
This is Barry McKnight from Longshore and McKnight, telling you about our friends at River Region Straw. You're not buying sticks or stems and pine cones. You're buying premium long needle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color, that'll last all season long. They've got locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small. From a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load, River Region Straw also has seasoned firewood for the cold days and nights ahead. Pickup is available, and your order can be delivered if you like. They can even spread your pine straw if that's what you want to have happen, for sure. Call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw and firewood needs at River Region Straw.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239 9316. That's 239 9316.
You know all about the 12 Days of Christmas, but what about the 12 Days of Dixie? We're giving away 12 of this year's hottest holiday gifts. Just go to facebook.com/Dixie Electric Plumbing Air and comment on the daily prize post using the hashtag 12 Days of Dixie, and you're automatically entered to win. The winner's name is posted on Facebook the following day with the opportunity to enter daily. The 12 Days of Dixie is going on right now.
Back at it on this Thursday. Of course, we got some NFL football tonight. We've had some college football bowl games going on as well.
Yep.
We'll get we'll get that. I know Rodney looking. I think he's looking for a link to come on with us this morning. So as soon as we get Rodney hooked up, we'll get Gern to let us know we're good to go. I can tell you this though, Barry, as we get ready to touch base with Rodney. Listen to this.
All right.
Our man, David Scott, over at Destin Connection Seafood Market. I'm telling you, this is a huge time of year for seafood. I love it. I love it all 12 months out of the year. Of course, Destin Connection open the remainder of this week, Thursday through Saturday, today, tomorrow, and Saturday from 9 until 6. Next week, they're open Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. David tells me Tuesday is one of their busiest days of the year, right before the Christmas. Open 9 to 6 next week as well. So call ahead now for boiled, peeled, and deveined shrimp. Stock up on all sizes of fresh Gulf shrimp. They've got fresh Louisiana oysters shucked in pints and also in the shell in 100-count boxes. I know people enjoy that.
I know
Fresh,
I do. Oh.
Yes, sir. This is one of my favorite berries. Fresh hand-picked crab meat, jumbo lump claw meat, and crab claws. I love the crab meat on top of a great grilled fish dish. That's also great. Huge varieties of fresh Gulf fish, whole and fillets, red snapper, scamp, pompano, salmon, cobia, yellowfin tuna, and so much more. They're located at 3850 Norman Bridge Road here in Montgomery. Call ahead 288-4272 for all of your Christmas seafood needs at the Destin Connection Seafood Market. Look, folks, when you go out to eat dinner at a restaurant here in Central Alabama, I can tell you, good chance that seafood came from the Destin Connection Seafood Market. All the really good restaurants that serve seafood, they're getting it from David because they know he has the absolute freshest in the river region. So go by and check it out today, or you can just call ahead and David will have your order ready to be picked up. But those shrimp for these Christmas parties, people love it. The oysters for the casseroles, love it. Everything else that you might want, Destin Connection Seafood Market, exclusively sponsoring Rodney or the Tider Insider, who's joining us now.
Rodney joins us here, TiderInsider.com. Good morning, Rodney. How are you doing?
Good morning, guys. How are you both doing?
We're doing well. We're trying to keep track of things right here. Talk to us, first of all, about the portal. The guys that are in it, any real surprises, and can you gauge from a football sense, the biggest guys that are in there, the biggest potential losses?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a wild week. Honestly, I haven't really 17 years, Nick Saban was pretty calm compared to what's really happening right now this week. As I'm sure you guys covered the Jalen Mbakwe thing. It's pretty crazy, but they were fortunate to get Jalen Mbakwe back. Obviously he was headed to Ole Miss a few days ago, and once Alabama, kind of learned of what was happening, they did a really good job of convincing or certainly helping Jalen Mbakwe understand what he really wanted to do. So with all that said, as far as the guys that they've lost, I mean, obviously the one with a lot of experience would have been Devontae Smith, who is going to Notre Dame and has signed with Notre Dame. He'll have a year eligibility there. Played the Husky position, star in the secondary. I think just his experience is something that was, really big. But the Alabama can certainly, they've got a lot of guys they recruited well, and they picked up some guys that I think can be helpful to them in that position. So, other than that, really, I think, to be honest with you, most of the guys, if you look down the list, pretty expected. I don't think there's really any major surprises.
So here's the question that's been posed to me, Rodney. How much did it cost to keep him back way in Tuscaloosa, and how does Ole Miss have so much money to be freely spending it?
Well, number one is I don't know where all the Ole Miss money comes from, but I know that they're really willing to spend it. Now, I will say this too about their philosophy. Lane Kiffin's philosophy is we really want to use our resources and direct them to the portal, not necessarily high school kids as much. So there's probably more emphasis with their resources placed on the portal than it is on high school kids. Now, they do select specific kids in the high school ranks. Maybe Caleb Cunningham, for example, who's a 5-star receiver, is committed to Alabama. They will specify a kid like that and invest in him. But most of their resources go to the portal. Now, as far as the deal Mbakwe got, I'm not really sure. Obviously, we would think that he got a bump of some kind. But I think it really went deeper than that. I think that his mom really wanted him and believed that he should be at Alabama. I think that was a really strong influence there. And I think John and Barry, there was kind of the way this thing went down, it was a really snap decision. It was like one phone call, here's the money. Yeah, I'm coming, So I think once he had a chance to sit back, and evaluate things, he made the decision to stay.
See, Rodney, it's that type of thing that you're talking about, and I thoroughly believe you. That worries me probably than anything else about the transfer portal and the NIL. You know this as well as anybody because you talk to a lot of these young people. These are 18-year-old kids who are not wise in the ways of the world, and in an unstructured, unregulated, unlicensed industry like what they're being subjected to right now, goodness gracious, they can be exploited, can they not?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Let me tell you, man, the fans out there would be shocked to know what's going on behind the scenes. I can give you an example. There's a player right now at Alabama. Is not even a starter. He got offered by an SEC school $800,000 to transfer, and the kid said, "I'm staying at Alabama," and the next day the school doubled it to 1.6. He rejected that offer, and they came back with another big offer, 250 grand extra. So these are the kind of things that are happening. And again, all the schools are participating to some extent in this, okay? Because you have to. I mean, it's just there are, like you said, Barry, there are no rules. So it's not like these teams are really violating something out there. Now, you're not supposed to tamper, supposedly, but I almost think that's kind of out the window too right now.
Rodney, what do you make of athletic director Greg Burns' email that he sent out yesterday to the Yay Alabama contingent? Basically, in my mind, the way I read it, pleading and begging for money.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everyone can interpret it the way they do. Didn't really impact me in that way, John, necessarily. I think what we're seeing is, and I didn't read it thoroughly enough, to be honest with you, to say a whole lot about his intention, what I think his intentions might have been. But it's kind of like what I'm saying. First of all, Alabama has a really good collective. They have a strong collective, and again, this is not kind of what I read numbers. I'm talking to some people in there that tell me they feel good about their collective. You always need more though, right? And so the kind of the thing I laid out to you about the kid who got the $800,000 offer, then it was doubled to 1.6. This is what they're facing. Not just Alabama, all these schools are facing this. And so to plead or whatever you want to call it for more money doesn't really surprise me, because this is one player. Just to give you an example, this is coming from what I consider a good source. I would not share this with you.
Okay.
I talked to someone yesterday. His son's a former Alabama player. Okay, plays at another school now, transferred out, really close to Devontae Smith, who just transferred to Notre Dame. Devontae Smith got a deal at Notre Dame, $60,000 a month. Okay, $60,000 a month. So that's not bad.
No,
And
not at all.
so when you talk about asking for more money, it's not that necessarily Alabama is or Greg Byrne is desperate as much as it is he's seeing he's just laying it out there, folks. Look, to stay competitive, we're going to have to be able to have more money to keep our roster.
Wow, that blows my mind. We've had some conjecture here and there about the impact of the loss of Justice Haynes, the running back, into the transfer portal. We've had people who believe that it's a significant loss. We've had other people who think have said he wasn't very tough hitting the hole, not great in pass pro. Where do you fall on that spectrum about Justice Haynes and his career at Alabama?
I really think that it's a little of both. Based on some things I've heard about what was going on with him. He complained of being injured, in the season. And so they allowed him his practice time it was reduced during the week to kind of help him. And then on Saturday, I think the expectation was he wanted more carries. Those two just don't really go together. Now, is he really talented? Yeah, he's talented kid. There's no doubt about his ability. I would say Justice Haynes this season, frankly, was one of the more disappointing players Alabama had. And again, I'm not nothing personal against Justice. He's a talented kid, and I think he's a really good kid. But I would say that, again, you can't not practice and say you're injured. And then at the same time expect 20 carries a game. Not when Jam Miller's busting his rear, Richard Young's busting his rear. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it is what it is.
Back to the NIL for just a second. Is there any truth to the rumor that another SEC school was coming after Ryan Williams? And maybe that was one of the reasons Greg Byrne sent that email out?
You know what, John? I haven't heard that, but it could entirely be true. I mean, it could be. Now, I had heard that one SEC school was really making a significant offer to him months ago. I mean, I'm talking about earlier in the season. They were working behind the scenes. Now, what happens is you have these agents that do the work and I don't know anything about Ryan Williams' situation. I just want to be clear. What I am saying is there was talk that a school in the SEC, and not Auburn, by the way, but there was another school that was trying to make a significant run through the back channels. No, I would imagine he's got numerous offers, and whether or not that had anything to do with Greg Byrne's email, I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Well, give us a sense of the value that Alabama will gain out of getting extra practices for this bowl game, playing against Michigan, closing out the season potentially with a win. This is not a totally insignificant bowl experience for this program, right?
No, I mean, I think anytime you have opportunity to continue to practice, develop some of these young players, give them opportunities, and hopefully we'll see some in this game. I mean, there's been some talk about how much Milroe might play because Milroe's gone. I mean, that's pretty well done. Again, uh, nothing's ever 100%, but I think it's pretty clear that Jalen Milroe won't be back at Alabama. So with that said, you wonder, will Ty Simpson get some opportunities in this game? Will Austin Mack? You would hope so. But they're certainly going to continue to get work, and there's talk too. We could see Jalen Mbakwe at receiver in this game. I think there's a really good chance that, especially given that Alabama's missing a lot of receivers, they're really down in terms of their numbers of healthy receivers for this game. So it's going to be interesting to see. So we might see Mbakwe at receiver, and in the future, I think we'll probably see him there. So it's a I don't know. This is really weird because, and I say that because, it's just so different now when you have this bowl preparation. You have guys. I think Alabama's numbers for this game is going to be 65 or something like that, because you have guys that have left the program. So you've lost a lot of numbers, and it's not just Alabama. All these schools do. I know Michigan's had several of their top players to opt out.
In terms of the transfer portal, what area or what particular player, I don't know if you can say particular player, but what area does Kalen DeBoer and this staff really need to work hard to get people transferring in to this program at a particular position group?
Right. Well, let's start right now with the two who've committed. Kelby Collins, defensive lineman from Gardendale, went to Florida, made 29 tackles the past 2 years, had only 6 tackles this year. There's been some mixed things on Kelby about his potential and all of that. He's a good player and all this. But, there are some that think, hey, with the right kind of development, he can be an outstanding defensive lineman. I say that, John and Barry, to say this. Defensive line is a priority to me, in my opinion. I think they need to continue to get defensive linemen. They need to get a big guy in the middle inside who can be a potentially strong run stopper, and also a guy who can maybe has a versatility to push the pocket. So they need a guy like that. They got Cameron Calhoun, a commitment from Utah, who spent last season at Utah, the year before at Michigan. So he's an outstanding looking corner, very long, 6'1", 180 pounds or so. That was a big pickup last night. Now, moving forward, one name I would advise you to keep an eye on, because I think they need a couple of receivers. Isaiah Horton. Miami's really disappointed that he jumped in the portal. He's a big guy. He's 6'4". He's 205 pounds. He caught 56 balls this past season, 5 touchdowns. Watch Alabama here for Isaiah Horton. That could come soon. Another player, a lot of people have asked about Kevin Concepcion at North Carolina State. Exactly.
Good player.
Really good player. He visited here. He's looking at some other schools. I think Concepcion's going to come down to how much money he's wanting. And, do you want to invest that money, or will he come down, kind of the negotiations? Hey, can you believe we're talking about negotiations?
Yeah.
But that and a kid, a sleeper kid that maybe might be worth. I know Bama watched his tape a couple of days ago. Jordan Dwyer from Idaho. He's a guy, remember that name. He caught 72 balls this past season for 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. But Jordan Dwyer could be a guy. And again, I know a lot of schools have reached out to him. I don't know if Alabama has yet, but I know they watched his tape because I had someone who told me, and they're really impressed. So we'll see what happens there. Cam Dewberry is an offensive lineman that is he's been here the last couple of days. Alabama recruited him really hard out of high school from Humble, Texas, went to Texas A&M. He's got a year of eligibility left. Watch for Cam Dewberry. We'll see what happens with him. There's a kid at Washington that just jumped in the portal a day or two ago, Khalid, and I'm assuming it's Tafai. He's an offensive lineman. Went there when DeBoer recruited him before he left. So that's another guy to keep an eye on. One other guy I'll mention right now is Nakai Hill Green. He's a linebacker at Colorado. He has some connections at Michigan too. That's a guy to watch out for. He's supposed to visit. He had like 82 tackles this past season at Colorado. Inside backer is a very important position in this portal for Alabama.
Rodney, since we're at the 19th day of December, should we just take it that there won't be any staff changes on Kalen DeBoer's coaching staff?
You know what? I don't know, John. I don't know. That's a really good question. Where's the bell?
Yeah, I got to get my bell back. Ding.
Yeah. But no, that is a really good question. I wish I could answer that. You know, I don't know. I think there's some potential movement on the staff, but I'm just not, I'm just not as convinced enough right now, John, that it's going to happen. But I won't be surprised if there were a couple of moves.
Well, if and when it does happen, I can guarantee you they're going to cover it. TiderInsider.com. A subscription for somebody is a great holiday gift. There's plenty of great information. You just heard Rodney, they have had to branch out into not just recruiting news, but also transfer portal and all this kind of stuff. You cover it all, TiderInsider.com. How do people gain access?
Right. It's TiderInsider.com. It's only $48 a year. You can get instant access with your credit card if you prefer. There is an address there to send a check. Gives you all our premium information. And all sports forums part of that. I mean, that's a lot of talk about basketball. The big win last night. Well, they were complaining about that, but it was
were they?
a win's a win, though.
It is, yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, and that. And hey, if you don't mind, I'll mention real quickly, since it is Christmas time.
Yes.
If you're looking for a stocking stuffer or whatever. My book, Bigger Than Bama.
Yep.
You can go to rodneyorr.com, or you can go to Amazon, and you can find the book Bigger Than Bama there. Gives you all the details about the book and shipping and handling and all that stuff. So just a suggestion for potentially a Christmas gift.
Again,
hey, how about a subscription to Tider Insider for a Christmas gift? That'd be pretty good too.
Look, I say do two for one.
Yeah.
Hey, why not? Absolutely.
I love it.
Personal testimonial. I bought Rodney's book a while back when it first became available online. It's a great story. Great example of Christian testimony and perseverance and all of that. So it would be a perfect gift for somebody on your list, even if they're not an Alabama fan. It's a great story. I enjoyed it a great deal, and I think that's a wonderful suggestion, Rodney. We appreciate the time. Thank you so much. And we hope you have a Merry Christmas.
I appreciate that, John and Barry. Merry Christmas to you and all your. I hear your listeners are just doubling every day. Your viewers. So I hope that continues.
Well, we do too. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. We'll talk next week.
Take care, guys.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much. Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, brought to you exclusively from our friends at the Destin Connection Seafood Market. All right, let me give you the update. They're open today, tomorrow, and Saturday, 9 until 6. Next week, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday next week, 9 to 6 all days. Call ahead now for boiled, peeled, and deveined shrimp. Also stock up on all sizes of fresh Gulf shrimp. Makes great party appetizers. Fresh Louisiana oysters shucked in pints and also in shell and 100-count boxes. Fresh hand-picked crab meat, jumbo, lump, claw meat, and crab claws. And a huge variety of Gulf fish, both whole and in fillets. Red snapper, scamp, pompano, salmon, cobia, yellowfin tuna, and much, much more at the Destin Connection Seafood Market, 3750 Norman Bridge Road, or call ahead 288-4272. Your order will be ready for pickup. Folks, I can't recommend it enough. The Destin Connection Seafood Market, the absolute best seafood. Heck, with any fresher than the Gulf of Mexico. I'm telling you, it is phenomenal.
Here's my story about the Destin Connection. I am a guy. I'll shop online. I do a lot of stuff online. I'm not against online, but I like going in stores. I'm not a great shopper, but I like going in places and visiting with the people and all that during Christmas and spreading the cheer and all that. And I'm also one of those guys that'll wait till the last minute, right? Well, I was in Montgomery trying to do some shopping. This was a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And spent the whole day. Got to get this done. Got to get this done. Man, I am just about tapped out. It's lunchtime. And because of John, I have the Destin Connection Seafood Market's phone number saved in my my contacts.
Yeah.
So I said, man, I tell you what, I'm going to treat myself. I've been shopping hard. I called up Destin Connection 288-4272. I had it saved, and I said, can you guys have me a I forget what kind of a sandwich it was. I think it was a grouper po' boy.
Oh, great.
It was.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, we'll have it waiting for you. Swung by, grabbed it, ate it as I'm going around and everything like that. That'll drive you for the rest of the day with your Christmas shopping.
Ooh,
that was
man. That's a great call there, Barry.
amazing.
Call ahead
Yep.
for that grilled grouper po' boy, shrimp po' boy, oyster po' boy, whatever you like. It is phenomenal. The slaw and the beans are I might do that today for lunch. You got me drooling. Destin
288-4272. Not only call ahead and they'll have a po' boy ready for you, you can call ahead and say, look, man, I got to get one of those 100-count boxes of oysters on the shelf. Can you have them waiting for me? And of course they can.
You better leave it. When we come back, Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover is going to join us. Yes, I will try to define what fiddle fart means, John. It's kind of like grab ass. Fiddle fart, grab ass. It's kind of the same type thing. It's not something you want to be labeled at.
No.
If you're fiddle farting around, you're just kind of not doing what you need to be doing.
Lived a long, long time. Never heard it in my whole life until met that guy. It's Longshore and McKnight in association with Yellowhammer News and presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
Happy holidays from Marguerite's. And every year we do an unbelievable $99 Christmas special. And it's got to be 14 karat white or yellow gold, and it's got to be high quality Marguerite's diamonds. Well, this year it's the best one ever. It's individual 14 karat letters that we've cut out and added a 7-point diamond to on a 14 karat necklace. Impossible. That's right. All the initial diamond necklaces, $99 at Marguerite.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the River region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. Riverbank and Trust. Back at it around 28 minutes past the hour on this Thursday. A lot going on this morning. Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover, going to join us here in a moment. Senator Tommy Tuberville in the first hour. Rodney Orr just wrapping up. Tomorrow, we've already had some folks asking about it. We'll be at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars. Lee Sterling with his bowl extravaganza tomorrow. The Phantom, I believe, is going to come by. And Ralph Michaels from Wager Talk and the Gold Sheet. So we got a lot going on out at Stivers tomorrow. And yes, don't worry. We've been really busy this week. A lot going on. The Victoryland 777 topic wheel, it's loaded. It's ready to go. We're just finding the right moment to spin it.
We had a lot of guests over the last couple of days, and we hope you've enjoyed those. A couple of things real quick that we want to go to on the River Region Straw chat line. It's over on our right. I mean, I'm looking at it right.
Yep.
We got to get Jason Jones on for a segment sometime.
Yeah.
Not just a phenomenal human being, but also he's, of course, big time viewer, big time consumer of our content, constant all the time. We love Jason Jones. He also helps to orchestrate the Trojans Together Collective at Troy University at trojanstogethercollective.com. John was asking this about Rodney. You know, people are asking, why can't we do what Tennessee's doing at Alabama? Jason points out Alabama schools can't do what Tennessee did because of state laws. When revenue sharing starts, it'll be different. You know, Tennessee is levying a tax in Knoxville, right, John?
Yep.
For hotels in Knoxville. I don't know what they call it. It
No.
doesn't matter what they call it.
I think it's tickets, Barry. They're putting a
levy
surcharge
on
on their
tickets. Yeah,
season
that's right.
tickets.
Yep.
So every season ticket that's purchased, you know, it's like that resort fee we were talking about.
Right. When it gets to the point where the schools themselves can handle the NIL payouts, when the schools in effect can pay players themselves, and that's coming, that's when the revenue sharing starts. It'll be different for everybody. But as of right now, they cannot, according to Jason, who knows what he's talking about.
What's going on down there on Goat Hill? I mean, we can't have sports wagering. I can't shoot dice in this state. I got to buy my liquor from the state. And now they're falling behind other states and how the NIL's running. I mean, do I need to run for political office around here?
I don't know. I'm not sure they wouldn't find any skeletons in. But also another friend of mine, Chris Blackshear, who is actually the sideline reporter for the Troy Sports Media Network. He's a sideline reporter for our football broadcast. We travel all over creation together during football season. He's also a state representative in the Alabama legislature, and he was telling me, I guess it was a week or two ago, that he and a fellow legislator were talking with representatives from each one of the colleges about NIL agents.
Mm-hmm.
And in Alabama and everywhere, anybody can call themselves an agent.
Yeah.
They are unlicensed. They are unregulated. Your Uncle Vito, who works over as a butcher at the meat market, he can all of a sudden say, okay, hey, look at me. I'm an agent. And he can go represent you, his nephew, 5-star student athlete, to any school out there and say, hey, I cut a deal with this school. They're giving me $250,000. I can give $200,000 to you if you go to this school. So they're skimming off the top.
Sure.
And by the way, I'm taking a 15% commission for that, which 15% is ungodly high, in case you didn't know. And the kid who is, just a high school senior or just a, first-year freshman, doesn't know the ways of the world like Uncle Vito does. He says, oh, boy, that sounds great. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Uncle Vito is exploiting the heck out of that kid.
Sure.
He's not an agent. The schools don't know, or the collectives don't know. Is he really a representative of that kid? If I give him $200,000 and we go to that kid and say, okay, now it's time to enroll, and he doesn't know what in the world we're talking about. So Chris, Representative Blackshear, and a lot of the other legislators, they're interviewing people like that, and they're moving towards an idea in Alabama, first and foremost, to know who you're dealing with, to license agents in the state of Alabama. So yeah, that kind of a thing
extremely smart
is coming, but it may be a little while from now.
Hey, our friend Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover, joining us here this morning, and I really appreciate Jason adjusting his schedule so Senator Tuberville could join us in the first hour. Jason, good morning. How you doing today?
I'm good. If I'd have known that's what I was doing, I wouldn't have agreed to that. No, doing good, guys. How about y'all?
They're doing really well. And speaking of Senator Tuberville, Jason, he told a really good story from his perspective on the impact of which many people have no idea that the Reverend Chet Williams had on Auburn University, Auburn athletics, and Auburn student athletes. I know everybody was shocked to hear of his passing, Jason. Can you give a perspective on that?
Yeah, I wrote this the other day. I think he's the most influential person that I've been around in 25 years of Auburn athletics. coaches come and go, all the things come and go, administrators come and go. He's been the guy that's been here for 25 years and had the impact of guys where he's performed wedding ceremonies and he's done these things. I mean, like, he's the guy that has, I think, impacted lives as much as anybody. And so, I think because of that, that's a guy that, I think you've seen such an outpouring because it's been a guy that's gone across coaching changes, across sports, mainly football, but he impacted other people too. But just the amount of people that have come through, I think you can see it, from the outpouring.
Yeah, very well said. Just a tragic loss for the entire Auburn family. No doubt about that at all. Moving on, update is obviously it's the whirlwind time of the transfer portal. Players moving in, players moving out. Give us an update, your thoughts about how it's going for Auburn so far.
Yeah, I think it's going about as well as you could hope for. The losses that you've had. I mean, you thought for a while Amaris Williams was going to be in the portal. He's decided to not go in the portal.
Oh.
So he is staying at Auburn.
Okay.
At the moment, you don't know how these things go, but I think the guys you've lost. I don't think there's anybody that would have been directly in your plans for next season, and so that's kind of where you start with. But look at the additions you've gotten, and you completely changed the quarterback room. And I do think this is, and I mentioned this yesterday on another show, but I think this is the first time since probably Al Borges where you've had an Auburn football program that has recruited the quarterback position for the offense it's running instead of just recruiting random quarterbacks. I think it's the first time you look and go, I can see a plan of recruiting guys that are all athletic. They can all run. They can throw it. They'd be good in an RPO scheme. For the last almost 20 years, it's, this quarterback's pretty good. Yeah, but does he fit with what you're doing? No, not exactly, but we'll make it work. Well, it doesn't work. Bo Nix was the latest and best example of that. Bo Nix is a really good quarterback. Bo Nix was not a really good quarterback in Gus Malzahn's scheme. And you didn't have another offensive lineman to do it anyway, but he's not a run first zone read quarterback. He's a throw it quarterback who can also run. And we saw that when he got to Oregon. He fit with that because that's what he'd grown up doing. Central Phoenix City does it with Patrick Nix now. That's what they did at Pinson Valley. So Bo Nix has done his whole life. And he got into a system in Oregon where they said, look, we're going to throw the ball and you can also run. Now we're going to run it too, but you're the point guard. And we saw it with even I'll go back to Jeremy Johnson. Nobody will ever convince me otherwise that if Jeremy Johnson had not played, if he had played in a 4 or 5 wide system where he just threw the football and, hey, get it out of your hands, go, I think he would have been fantastic. He just wasn't a fit in what they've done. This is the first time in a long time, in my opinion, that they have recruited quarterbacks to fit what they want to do on offense. And so that's a starting point. And you get offensive tackles that they had to have. So I think the pieces of the rest of that are falling into place. But for me, that's the starting point for this is what they've done at quarterback and on the offensive line.
Yeah, boy, I really want to get to the offensive tackles in just a moment. But I want to bogart off something that John said earlier in the week. We had Tom Luganbill from ESPN on Monday, and John simply asked what would make someone think that Jackson Arnold will be a better quarterback at Auburn than he was at Oklahoma. And I remember Luke saying, well, hopefully, he won't have to go through not having his first 5 wide receivers injured and, the 3 offensive line starters injured as well. That's a start, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's, you look at it and the thing I take solace in is like all those things happened and you're sacked 46 times and they didn't throw it a ton. I would bet you their sack rate was the only 2 teams worse than them in the country. Florida State was 1. We saw what Florida State did. They won 2 games.
Yeah.
Oklahoma won 6 games in this league and made a bowl game. That team beat Alabama with Jackson Arnold at quarterback. I can see a guy that has the grit and determination to go win a football game. So that's one thing I can start with already. And then I see a guy that has arm talent and has those things. And so, yeah, that they probably were hit as hard from an injury standpoint as any team I can remember, because it happened. It reminded me a little bit of like the 1998 Auburn football team, where you go, yeah, you lose 4 or 5 centers, and all of a sudden you go, well, there's nothing you can do. Well, in this day and age, you lose 4 or 5 wide receivers. You may have 4 or 5 other ones, but the first guys are the first guys for a reason. And so they just didn't have many guys left. And so I think it's a guy that you go, hey, you feel good about. But that's also why you go out and get Ashton Daniels, is a guy that has started at big-time football programs. And Stanford is really athletic. He can run. And then from what I've seen from Deuce Knight, the fact that you're getting him in the spring. And the other thing that people don't maybe realize is you have 2 scholarship quarterbacks in the spring. Ashton Daniels won't be here till the summer. Deuce Knight's going to get every second team rep the entire spring. That's a valuable thing to have for a young guy to start his career. And so, but to go back to Jackson Arnold, I think it's a guy you go, hey, we've seen flashes of it when healthy, when they've had guys. We're going to put guys around him that can make plays and feel like he can get the job done.
Jason, we were talking about this earlier this morning. Greg Byrne at Alabama and John Cohen at Auburn both yesterday sent out correspondence about NIL. They were different. One I think was more of a pleading and begging. The other was just, hey, we got some people sitting in premium seating, and we're going to have to add a little bit more to that. My question being, though, how much longer can that go on? I mean, how many letters can be sent? How many emails can be sent out?
How much squeezing can be done?
Yeah, I know you got to keep selling, but do you get to a saturation point?
Well, at some point, it's going to happen. But I just don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take, because of what's happening in other places where you have people that have money who are going, hey, my only concern is to go for my football team or my basketball team to go win games. I don't care about anything else. And so because of that, you look up and you see just some of the craziness involved. I mean, Michigan is the prime example right now, where you're going, okay, until it changes, what do? Do you just sit back and go, well, we're just not going to be competitive? Right now, you either go, hey, we got to have this, or you go, hey, we'll wait till something changes. Well, college sports and the Southeastern Conference isn't in the business of waiting for something to change. And when it gets even up, we'll be good. Well, it's never been even. That's the whole point about this. Getting back to it's never been even. There's always been programs and schools that have had advantages. Now it's just out in the public eye, and it's different programs, and it's not comfortable. I think that's some of this too, is that there's an uncomfortability part of this, and I'm not agreeing with it. I don't like it. I don't like that you just go, hey, I'm gonna go in the portal and see if I can get some more money and stay where I belong. I talked to somebody yesterday who has somebody on the staff, and they said, look, they're mailing out checks, and they go like he said it felt dirty. Hey, I'm all for guys getting what they deserve. This is not what we're doing right now. Because there's a lot of guys that are getting a bunch of money that hadn't earned anything yet. That's the whole back to this original thing. This is not NIL. They can call it something else, but this is not what we're doing right now. This is not name, image, and likeness. This is contract payments.
Yeah.
And so until they can figure out how to make that work, they can call it whatever they want to, but there's no laws, there's no rules, there's nothing going on. And I heard your point about ages. That's the root problem of all of this, is that as soon as something happens, 10 or 15 phone calls to a parent or a player, their family, and going, hey, go in. I got schools calling right now. We can get you a bunch of money. Well, okay, you might be able to, but no matter where you're going to face the same problem. You're either going because you're not playing. And hey, if you're playing and you're like, hey, I'm not happy here, okay, that's a different story. But if you're not playing and you're going to look for playing time elsewhere and you're going to the same level, then you're not helping yourself.
Right.
You're just going to go grab some money. Amari Kelly is the best example of what can happen. Amari Kelly left Auburn.
Yep.
He goes to Middle Tennessee, has a really good year, and goes to Michigan State. If you leave, go to the same level, and you're still not starting, then by the time the guy in front of you leaves, a coach is going, well, that guy hadn't played before. I got to go get somebody who's played before. And it's going to be the same situation. That's what I think people have to understand here is that if you want to go and up your value, you better go somewhere and play.
Where you can play.
That's it. You might up your value in the short term now, but to up your absolute value, you better go somewhere and get on the field. And no matter what sport it is, basketball is different because it's a smaller roster. Baseball is the same sport. You don't play as a freshman. You're waiting your turn to play in baseball. It's probably not going to happen because, hey, that 25-year-old pitcher, you're 19-year-old redshirt freshman. If you haven't played any, you got to go get a guy that's 23 years old that's faced pitchers before. I mean, it's just the name of the game. And until something changes, coaches have to protect themselves too, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to go get a guy who's done it before.
With that in mind, I think we all agree that over the last couple of years, Auburn has swung and fouled off a couple of offensive line signees. Do you like the 2 tackles that they've signed?
Yeah, I do.
Or that they've got commitments from?
Yeah, I like it. I think you got guys that can be bookend offensive tackles. One guy's been a starter at USC for a couple of years. The other one was a starter and an all-conference type player at Virginia Tech. So I think you look and you go, those spots, you feel like, and honestly, across the offensive line, I think this is probably as good a shape as an Auburn offensive line has been in since at least 2017, and probably longer than that because of the depth that you started to build behind those guys. Because you look now and you got Dylan Wade plans to return. I think Jeremiah Wright plans to return as we speak today. You got Connor Lew, you got Braden Joyner. So all of a sudden you add these 2 offensive tackles, and that's 6 guys that have been starters on an offensive line. And then Tyler Johnson's a guy they feel good about, 7. You start going down the list and you go, you have 8 or 9 guys that you feel good about probably plugging in and playing on an Auburn offensive line. And when this group got here, be right about 2 years ago to the day, they probably were 2 SEC level offensive linemen on the roster. That's it. And so they have changed things in a hurry. And so I think it's 2 very good additions.
Jason, a little scare earlier this week. Janai Broome going out with a little shoulder injury. Can you update us there and talk about the next game up for the Tigers?
Yeah. I think it was probably more of a panic situation for Broome than anything because he had this happen before. And so I think he felt the similar situation of that shoulder and I think panicked, obviously ran off the court. And but I think even a little bit later, even in the game, I think he was able to move it some. So now it's that soreness surrounding the muscle of that joint in the shoulder and how quickly you can kind of get some strength back. That'll be the biggest thing for him. So, no surgery needed. They did the MRI, and so I think now it's just a matter of, how much and how quickly you want to push this thing. I would guess that we won't see Janai Broome on Saturday against Purdue in Birmingham. Now, I may be wrong. Maybe I know they'll strap it down, which is he's done before. They'll kind of put that harness on the right shoulder, and he's left-handed. So, but I'd be a little surprised if we see him, considering what this team's already done in non-conference. You lose to Purdue on a neutral site without Janai Broome, and I don't think that impacts you one iota. But it's still a game, obviously, you can win. We saw the other night, he goes out in 2 minutes, and I look up and I go, well, the line's 39. That'd be the greatest bet in the world right now to go bet on Georgia State, and Auburn wins by 41. So it wouldn't have mattered anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for Broome, it's if you got Purdue and then Monmouth, who is not very good,
right,
in a 2-week stretch before you start SEC play. I think this is, if there's a time for this to happen, this is about as good a time as it could happen for Auburn basketball. So yeah, Purdue's up next without their big guy, but still a really good guard-oriented team, in what should be a really good atmosphere on Saturday.
Well, just in the last couple of days, Jason Caldwell has written a feature on Denver Jones on the Auburn basketball team. Also, an analysis of the couple of the commitments for Auburn football. So much more on the website. Jason, how do people gain access to it?
Yeah, you can check us out at auburnundercover.com, part of the 24/7 network, and got all kind of deals going on. Come check us out. I got to give a shout out to all my guys. Christian Clemente is killing it with the portal coverage. I mean,
Nathan
just doing an
King.
unbelievable job. Nathan King doing basketball. We've got Philip Marshall in the columns and kind of doing his thing too. So got a lot going on. So check us out there. You can also follow me on Twitter at ITATJason. And just wanted to wish y'all a Merry Christmas. And hope everybody have a safe and happy holidays.
Same
Merry
to you,
Christmas,
Jason. Yep. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. We'll talk to you next week. Looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Take
All right,
care.
buddy. Thank you so much. And thank you for adjusting your schedule today for us. Jason Caldwell, auburnundercover.com. All right, Barry, after this quick break, I think we're going to have some time to spin the Victoryland 777 topic wheel. So, Chris, get ready.
We have been busy. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Hey, folks, you got to take advantage of the incredible holiday savings at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where they sell America's best-selling truck for 50 years in a row, the F-150. And you can get an F-150 at 1.9% APR for 60 months or up to $15,000 off MSRP and no payments for 90 days. Hundreds to choose from. Your F-150 is on the lot right now. Also, F-150 Lightnings, $15,000 off MSRP and 0% APR for 72 months. What about the stylish Ford Bronco? Up to $10,000 off MSRP, starting as low as $34,990. And it started it all with the Ford Explorer. You can get one for up to $8,000 off MSRP, as low as $33,900 and 1.9% APR for 66 months. Folks, Stivers Ford is loaded with cars, trucks, and SUVs priced to sell. Stivers Ford, 4000 Eastern Boulevard in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
The Victoryland Casino 8 Days of Giveaways is going on now. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. We're giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. That's right, Victoryland Casino is giving away $125,000 in free play and cash. Come play the latest and greatest games featuring exciting bonuses and huge jackpots. There's always more ways to win at Victoryland Casino off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older, must be present to win.
You know all about the 12 Days of Christmas, but what about the 12 Days of Dixie? We're giving away 12 of this year's hottest holiday gifts. Just go to facebook.com/Dixie Electric Plumbing Air and comment on the daily prize post using the hashtag 12 Days of Dixie, and you're automatically entered to win. The winner's name is posted on Facebook the following day with the opportunity to enter daily. The 12 Days of Dixie is going on right now.
Got to get John to unmute again as we go live.
That's just going to be a problem.
We
got
to work on it.
Figured out.
Getting better every day. I got to tell you, I've had a hard time focusing for about the past half hour or so.
Oh, wow.
Ever since Rodney Orr was talking about the scuttlebutt from TigerInsider.com that Notre Dame was going to pay Devontae Smith $60,000 a month. Now, if he was Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith, I can get it maybe. He's been a good player, hasn't been a great player. $60,000 a month for a college student.
That caught my attention.
Oh, and who was he saying? Somebody else? Maybe it was Mbakwe, maybe not. He got offered $800,000, and then he said no. He didn't mention his name. Now that I think about it, and he said, "No, I'm staying." And then they offered him 1.6 million and all of that. That's just giving you an idea. Devontae Smith, solid player, not a star, $60,000 a month.
Man.
John, that's just to give you some perspective. That's Gurn Jr. money. You know,
Yeah,
think
that's
about
big
that.
money.
Good
Yeah,
gracious,
that's
now.
pretty big stuff
Woo.
there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's 60 grand. That caught my attention, as did Philip Marshall's piece this morning, as he had a complete breakdown of Greg Burns' email to supporters. Did John Cohen not send a correspondence out to Philip? Did you not want to comment on that? Wow, man. Anyway, the Victorland 777 topic wheel.
Yes, sir.
No,
It's still a thing. Yeah,
it is not rusty. It still spins quite fast,
Yeah.
and Gurn is going to get it loaded up for us here. Look at it. There it is. Look, I think it's been spinning since Tuesday, Barry, but it hadn't really got that big
see what it
spin.
was. Gurn he just got done putting the 3-in-1 oil behind it and everything, and he spun it one time just to get it thoroughly greased up. So we should be ready to go.
All right, spin it, Gurn. Let's see what happens on our Victorland 777 topic wheel. Chris the Bammer, I hope you're ready. You know, Barry, people see care time and they're probably thinking, well, it is the Christmas season and it's certainly time to care for others, which, yes, that is correct. It is a time for caring for other people in this special time on our calendar during the Christmas season. But in a sports complex or sports theme, it is care time in terms of postseason. Because, you know, I pretty much said, who cares about these bowl games unless you're in the Longshore McKnight Bowl prediction contest? And some of the names you people have used to your nicknames for your entry into the contest, very, very creative.
Yeah.
Got to give an applaud, a shout out.
Check it out, yellowhammernews.com.
Yeah, we might go through some of these names later on.
We used to have some back in the past that I used to have to email the person and say, "Hey, look, I'm taking you offline for a moment."
I think, Barry, somebody did actually use the name Fiddle Fart.
Yes.
Is one of their
Good
names.
word.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But we'll go over those. So we got a lot of people knotted up in first place right now. We'll let you know that, but we hadn't had a lot of bowl games. So we'll
So
get into
you
that in a
missed
moment.
yesterday, maybe the Boca Raton Bowl. I watched it. The Boca Raton Bowl, where there were two games yesterday.
Did I?
The Boca Raton Bowl, Western Kentucky versus James Madison.
Correct.
And the other one was the Arts something LA Bowl at SoFi presented by Gronk.
Ooh.
And it was UNLV versus Cal.
Yes.
So that's 4 teams playing yesterday.
Correct.
Of those 4 teams, only one of them was playing their starting quarterback. And that was Western Kentucky, Caden Veltkamp.
Ooh.
James Madison was playing their third-string guy because the other 2 were in the portal.
So
Cal was playing their third-string guy. I can't even think of his name right now because their first 2 were in the portal. And UNLV, of course, is playing the Campbell transfer, who Troy saw one year at the Vet, named Haj Malik Williams. And he's only playing because their starting quarterback was the first person in the college football world to transfer this year. They had a great fake punt, by the way, UNLV. UNLV won it.
Good for them. Glad to see UNLV get a good bowl win for Dan.
They had Mullen on the sidelines.
Yeah.
So maybe there was a small care factor for some of those. So you're saying starting tomorrow?
Tomorrow at 7 p.m. That's when people start
bit.
caring. But I will be interested to see what the ratings are for these 4 playoff games this coming up weekend.
Yep.
We told you yesterday that ticket sales have not been overly brisk on the secondary market. They're well under face value. Kind of wonder about that. But they are. It's time to start caring with these big college football playoff bowl games starting tomorrow night on ABC. Then on Saturday, it's on TNT.
3.
And then Saturday night, it's back on ABC.
What is that? What is that? Why in the world? And I've railed against this in the college basketball tournament. Extremely popular sport.
Yep.
It's in their playoff.
Yep.
Saturday, there's 3 games beginning at 11. Final game begins at 7. The first 2 games of the college football playoff on Saturday are on TNT.
They are. Now, I
TNT
know
has not carried a game all year.
No. I think the last time they carried football, Barry, they carried the NFL, and Snake Stabler was part of their pregame and halftime show, along with Danny Sheridan. It was great. But that was 30 years ago. Yeah.
And surprisingly, it's not Sheridan.
You know,
Anyway.
Barry, for all you Star Wars geeks out there that are used to seeing a Star Wars marathon on TNT, which is about every Saturday afternoon,
Oh, man.
tomorrow you're not going to, or Saturday, you're not going to get it.
Okay. Now is care time.
So you got to start caring.
Yep.
Yep. So we'll leave the wheel on that, and we'll come back tomorrow with the remainder of the topics on the wheel. If you were able to take a look and see what some of them are, I might add one to the wheel because I got another one I was thinking about. So I'll get with Gern later to maybe add one in place of care time that we just talked about.
If you missed it earlier today, you'll get a chance to catch it again. One of the epic moments of the early infancy of Longshore and McKnight, where Tommy Tuberville, Senator Tommy Tuberville, went with that tried and true statement about John Longshore that we used to see in elementary school, where he said, "You a lie?" John was saying that, if he give enough money, he'd be the Mike Mann, he'd be Aubie and Tuberville. As soon as he came on, he said, "John, I've known you for 25 years. There ain't no way you're going to put on an Aubie outfit."
He's probably right.
Yeah. Senator Tommy Tuberville joined us. Even if you saw it live here, you ought to catch it later on because, John, that was pretty epic.
It was real good. Good stuff from Senator Tuberville, Rodney Orr, Jason Caldwell, all of our viewers and listeners on our chat. We appreciate that. Our River Region Straw chat line. Of course, our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox, longshoreandmcknight@gmail.com. And as you mentioned, Barry, our association with Yellowhammer News. There's always a write-up about our show.
Yep.
Each and every afternoon at Yellowhammer News, video content as well. You can check us out on the Yellowhammer News Facebook page, the Longshore and McKnight Facebook page. You can go to YouTube,
Spotify,
streaming throughout the day, Spotify. Yep, a lot of people in their cars are working out. Pop in the earbuds and check us out on Spotify. A lot of Instagram content as well. Understand we're working on some TikTok content as well.
What?
We are going everywhere.
Yep.
And we really appreciate the likes and the subscriptions, and really appreciate everybody spreading the word.
Yes, until tomorrow when we're live again, 7 till 9 in the morning at Stivers Ford on the Eastern Boulevard of the Troy Highway in Montgomery, Alabama. For John Longshore, I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.